Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today at our webinar. We are so excited to talk a little bit about IQ Wi-Fi and IQ Wi-Fi 6 that we have coming here in a couple months. Super grateful for you guys taking some time out of your busy schedules to come and spend some time with us. So we appreciate that. First things first, just wanted to let everybody know that this webinar is being recorded. So we will record this webinar, and then after this, I will upload it to YouTube. So if you need to reference any of the content we talk about, or if somebody from your team wasn't able to make it, you'll be able to find it on our YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search Qualsys. You'll be able to find our channel along with tons of other video content that might be helpful to you guys. And with that being said, we want to know where you're calling in from. We want to know. Oh, somebody says no sound. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
You guys can hear me? Okay. Libis, I think, yes. Okay, so some people can hear us. I apologize if you can't. Technology, it's a love-hate relationship. But anyway, we want to know, go to webinar, find that chat, find that question section. We want to know where you're calling in from, and we want to know what plans you have for this Memorial Day weekend. What are you doing? You hanging out in the garden? You hitting the lake? What is everybody doing? Let's give a second and see. Oh goodness, Sunshine State, Santiago, South Carolina. Kevin from Vancouver, British Columbia, Vermont. Yes, people can hear me. Anthony Sharpie is celebrating his birthday. Happy birthday, Anthony. We hope it's a stellar birthday. Hope you have a great time. That's awesome. San Diego, Brittany from San Diego, Pittsburgh, Ohio. Good gravy. We got tons of people. Toronto, Jake from Toronto. Holy smokes, Khalid from Edmonton, Alberta, Heather. Goodness, we got a lot of people here from a lot of different places. So thank you guys for being here. You've blown up that question section, and we appreciate you guys being here. So first things first, before I kind of introduce all of our guests and everything, we want to do a couple polls here. So we want to just get to know you a little bit better and understand kind of where you guys stand with IQ Wi-Fi. And that'll help us just kind of understand how we can better support you as your partners here at Qualsys. So first question here, our first poll is, which Wi-Fi network products are you currently installing for customers? So you can go ahead and choose all that apply. So are you installing IQ Wi-Fi, Google Wi-Fi, Amazon Euro, other? Put in the chat which ones you're installing. And if you're not installing any Wi-Fi networks, you can click that as well. So wow, I'm a little bit surprised. We've got over half not installing Wi-Fi networks. That's a little bit surprising. We've got a lot of other here. Let's see what everybody's. Luxel, okay. Ring, cool, awesome. That is insightful. Give about another 10 seconds to kind of answer that poll. All righty, great. Thank you everybody for answering. And then I just have one other poll for right now. So we want to understand, what challenges are you experiencing when dealing with Wi-Fi networks? Is it installing on the customer's network? Is it the truck rolls after install? Is it the cameras, IQ remote reliability, cost, or other? You can go ahead and throw that in the chat. Beautiful. We're seeing a lot of truck rolls after install is complete. Beautiful. We'll give another 10-15 seconds here. All right, we will wrap that poll up. Thank you everybody so much for answering those poll questions. Like I said, they help us understand how we can better support you, how we can better tailor our message today, and what we can kind of focus on, what we need to talk about. So with all the polls, all the housekeeping kind of out of the way, I want to kind of introduce who we have here as our panelists. So we have Guy Page of DFW Security. Guy is the owner, I believe you're the owner of DFW, correct, Guy?
One of the owners, there's 4 of us.
Awesome, great. So Guy works at DFW Security in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He's gonna talk to us a little bit later about his experience with IQ Wi-Fi. They're doing some really, really cool things with Wi-Fi, and I think everybody here is gonna be able to learn a little bit. And then we also have Ernest Bernard. Ernest is our awesome sales rep. He works with Guy. He's kind of been helping Guy and DFW figure out the Wi-Fi situation that they have now. So we're happy to have Ernest on with us. And then we also have Johnny Saffer. Johnny is new to our team. He is our commercial marketing manager. So he handles all things commercial. Awesome guy, very knowledgeable. I lean on Johnny a lot. And I'm Bo Freeman. I'm a rookie at this, right? So this is my first or second time kind of really hosting a big webinar. So that's why I have this huge support staff here that they're going to help me when I, say the wrong thing, or help correct me when I'm not saying the correct thing. So that's who we've got here today, and our agenda kind of goes as follows. We're going to talk a little bit about IQ Wi-Fi, what it is. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, but if there's some people out there that don't know what it is and what it does, we want to help you understand that. And then we're going to kind of jump into Guy and DFW's testimonial, or how they're using IQ Wi-Fi. And then at the end, we have Nate Anderson. He's one of our awesome TAMs. He's going to talk to us a little bit about IQ Wi-Fi 6. There's Nate. He's the coolest. We love Nate. He's going to help explain kind of the new features on IQ Wi-Fi 6. And then we'll talk a little bit about our beta program. And I keep freezing. Am I freezing for you guys? I keep freezing on your end, Johnny?
Yeah, just the video.
Oh, goodness. Okay. I apologize. I wish my internet was better. I live in a little rural town, so I don't have great internet. So I apologize. But anyway, that's kind of our plan for today, and we'll just jump right into it. So first slide you have here is, what is IQ Wi-Fi? So essentially, IQ Wi-Fi is a mesh Wi-Fi router system used to connect Wi-Fi devices such as cameras and touchscreens inside a home or business. So pretty self-explanatory, right? It's a router, it's a mesh system that allows your devices that use Wi-Fi to connect. So we throw around this term mesh quite a bit. So I'm going to ask Nate here to kind of help us understand a little bit better what a mesh system is. What does a mesh router mean? So Nate, if you can help us with that.
No problem. I'll turn on my camera here just for a minute so you can all see who I am. And I'm rocking the IQ Wi-Fi shirt. Yeah, so a great question. Just from a very high level, a mesh network is essentially just a group of devices that act as a single Wi-Fi network, right? So I think you'll find our reasoning for going with the mesh network is really twofold. We wanted a solution that was super easy to deploy and reliable. So that's Bo, that's essentially the quick and dirty way of explaining what a mesh network is.
Awesome, thank you, Nate. I like to think of it, because I'm not a technical guy like Nate, I like to think of it, it's a blanket, right? We're putting a blanket of Wi-Fi all over your house, and maybe that's a bad analogy, but that's how I've come to kind of understand that mesh network system. So thank you, Nate, for chiming in there. And then this next slide here is why we created IQ Wi-Fi, right? So a huge thing is that reliability. So consumers more and more want cameras, right? It empowers them to know what's going on in their home. And it's an integral part of a security system. All of you are very aware of how important cameras are and how much your customers want cameras in their homes, their video doorbells, their cameras. So we wanted to increase that reliability, right? Because that's not something you guys can control. You go into a home, you're installing these cameras, you can't control that they have some rinky-dink router on some janky ISP internet service provider, kind of like I do out in here in rural Heber City, Utah. You guys can't control that, right? So we wanted to create a product that could help take away those issues and increase that reliability of the cameras. And that second bullet point just kind of goes right along with that. So you're often blamed for network connectivity provided by the home. And that's not your responsibility. So we wanted to kind of build this product to help in that sense. And then the RMR, the possibility to monetize this, right? To be able to monetize that support that you guys are providing on their network. And then the support, this is probably the biggest reason, right, is to reduce those truck rolls, right? If you have a device in the home that's helping, those things stay connected, and it's going to reduce truck rolls, like that's huge for everybody. So that's kind of the biggest reason. And then also to provide that easy install and ongoing maintenance from the IQ panel to provide a positive user experience to keep your customers happy. So that's a quick and dirty overview of IQ Wi-Fi. Johnny, Ernest, Nate, did I miss anything that's really important to talk about? Kind of why we created it, what it is? Do you guys have any other comments? Are there any questions in the chat so far?
Yeah, we had a quick question about backhaul, Ethernet backhaul. I just wanted to bring up here. I think it's important to understand that backhaul between the Wi-Fi routers is supported wireless or Wi-Fi, and is a dual band router. So I think that's really where we shine with this product. You know, you look at some of the competing products that are out in the marketplace today, like the Amazon Euro. It's a really good product, but you know, when you that product, you're often purchasing a bundle, and with that bundle, you don't always get that Ethernet backhaul support. So just wanted to add that as we're talking about, you know, our solution.
Great, thank you, Nate. That's awesome. I wouldn't have known how to answer that question, so I appreciate you being here, Nate. Great, yeah, Johnny, Ernest, any questions or comments, anything I missed on?
Yeah, you know,
why IQ WiFi is important?
Another thing that's important is sometimes when installation companies are finishing out a system, they have Wi-Fi trouble, they go to their vehicle and pull some off-the-shelf part. When they bring it in, the customer can look it up on the internet, see that they can buy it at Best Buy, and this product's not like that. You know, it separates it out for professional companies.
That's a great point. Thank you, Ernest. Thank you so much. So I wanted to do one more kind of poll before we jump into Guy's experience and DFW's experience. So after we've talked about that, right, we've got a quick overview. What is the most appealing thing about IQ Wi-Fi? Is it the easier installs for your cameras? Is it the more reliable connectivity? Is it the ability to monetize? Is it reducing Wi-Fi related truck rolls? Or is there something else that's exciting? Perfect, got some good answers here. And somebody put in the chat privacy, so that's great. Awesome, awesome. So biggest thing that people are excited about is reducing Wi-Fi related truck rolls. So that's a great segue into Guy's experience at DFW. So Guy and Ernest, maybe talk us through your experience with IQ Wi-Fi. Talk us, how long you guys been installing it? How long ago did you make that switch to including it in every camera install? Just talk to us a little bit about kind of how you guys are approaching IQ Wi-Fi.
So we started in November. We just decided we were going to put it on every single installation that had a camera or a secondary keypad. So if it has one of those two items on there, it's going to get a Wi-Fi. There's no choice. There's no getting around it. It comes with it, but I want to make sure everybody understands the customer is paying for it. So it's not a freebie. We're not giving it away. They're paying for it. And how we do that is we simply tell them, look, the reliability of one of these two items is the most important thing to you. That's why you're getting this system. That's why you have this. You want to ensure that you're going to get the reliability out of it that you want, because you're using it for awareness at your house, and you want to be able to look, or your business, you want to be able to look in it, you want to be able to see, you want it to work every time you do it. And if everybody out there is going to agree with this, that's the #1 complaint on your cameras, is that they're not consistent. They're not reliable. And we know it's not the camera, and we know it's not the installation. We know it's the customer's ISP, right? And in most cases, it's their Wi-Fi. So what we do is we tell them, we're going to take you off of that network. As far as the cameras go, we're going to put them on a secure, dedicated network where the camera and the keypad, that's the only thing that's going to be on here. You don't have to worry about people coming in with other devices and knocking them off, because that's one of the biggest deals with current, you know, when your ISP provides you with that Wi-Fi router, it's not the most expensive, it's not the best technology, right? So they're going to drop off, and you cannot explain to the customer in any way, shape, or form that it's their equipment. It's not something that you did, because they just don't understand how this works. So we just decided that, you know, Ernest did such a great sales pitch with it, came in and made it sound great, made it look great. So we just decided, let's just jump in. And we didn't even look at any other Wi-Fi provider, simply because of our relationship with Qualsys and with Ernest. And the technology that they've provided us so far. So we just jumped right in with it, and you're going to see some of the numbers later. But I mean, our service calls dropped 23% immediately, rolling the truck.
That is awesome. Very cool. Guy, any pushback from the customers, right? Where you're saying you're including it, they're getting it, there's no way around it. Any pushback from them?
Oh, sure. They're going to tell you, well, I've got a router, or I went out and I spent X dollars on this router. It's a good router. They're going to give you whatever the case is because they don't want to pay the dollars. But when you explain to them that this is for your security, and this is for your security system, and this is your peace of mind, and this is dedicated and protected, and you're not going to and we don't let them into this at all. They have no access to this. It's our router in their house with their cameras on that network, and that's it. So when we explain it to them, we break it down, the reliability issue and the security of it. It makes sense, but it does take a little bit of a sales pitch. It does take some explanation.
Great. But I'm sure they're happy afterwards, right? When their cameras work.
Well, they are. And what we really push is you have a level of expectation that you want. And for you to get that, this is what it requires. And we actually have a warranty program that we do where we will actually include all your parts, all your labor, all your service. There's no service calls, no trip fees. But if they do not, if somehow they're reneging on wanting to do the Wi-Fi, we'll just tell them, okay, you don't have a warranty, right? There's no service plan on this. And then when we do that, then they're like, well, that's a pretty big deal. You guys believe in it that much. So it adds emphasis to the reason that they need it.
Wow, that's amazing. Where did that idea for that warranty come from?
Yeah, we've been doing that for a long time. I think most of the people on this call offer some type of extra fee for a service plan. We call it our platinum protection plan, and we don't charge anything for it because the thing that we're trying to do is the customer satisfaction, reliability of the system. These people are purchasing these things for awareness and peace of mind, and we want to ensure that that works. And once you explain that, we don't want you worrying about hey man, I got to spend $200 or $300 for the system to get it up and running. I'm fixing to go on vacation. Where am I going to do that? Or what's the deal? So we just want to make it a smooth, easy process, worry-free. So
that's great. That's awesome. So just after when we first talked, Guy, these were some of the bullet points, and you hit on these the notes that I had written down. It's kind of some of your selling points, right? So you've got to include the IQ Wi-Fi. It's the only way to get the most out of the system, right? You're letting them know, like, this is the only way that you're going to get the expectation that you have set. And then the ISP routers just don't cut it. And then you create that dedicated network for the system. So really powerful selling points that you guys are presenting. And I think it's great that you're able to just put it in there, right? And you're getting, little pushback from these customers. I think that you've really made it make sense in their head, and they're seeing the value. I think everybody out there on the call could learn from that, right? You help them understand what it's going to do for them, and they're going to take it, and then you just upped your sell, right? Did a little bit of an upsell. So that's great.
That's the thing. You want to make money. You don't want to do it for free.
Exactly. Yeah. And it sounds like you guys have kind of figured out that formula. So yeah, and then Guy talked a little bit about that warranty. I think this is genius. Johnny, you really like this idea. Do you have any comments around that warranty or anything like that? Sorry to put you on the spot. If you don't, that's fine. Just wondering if you did.
No, not at all. Yeah, well, trust me, I competed with that for a long time in DFW. So,
Nice.
Yeah, the warranty package, holding that is, that's a big value to a lot of the residential customers. So, the fact that you'd be willing to pull it back to say, we're going to give you this product, but if you don't get the router, it's not going to function the way that we're selling it to you, which is that's Guy's complete pitch. I think more so looking at the truck rolls. I mean, if you're a dealer out there, I come from the dealer world. I worked for one for 5 years, selling Qualys products, selling Qualys Wi-Fi. If you can eliminate 23% of your truck rolls, and you're doing 100 service tickets a week, my math says that's around 100 a month. What's the dollar amount you put on that truck roll times 100? On top of that, if you're selling a Wi-Fi with all your systems integrated into your packages, you're making more money per deals. So that's for me as a dealer, that's one of those big wow moments. So that's a huge number. A quarter of your truck rolls are eliminated, not stopped, or it's slowed down. It's eliminated. So that's a huge deal.
Awesome. Thank you, Johnny. Can't hear you, Ernest.
Guy, how many units did you install last night of the Wi-Fi unit?
It's about 200 a month. It varies a little bit from the seasonal stuff, but it's around there.
So it's like half your install, the Wi-Fi unit. Okay.
Amazing.
Well, most of the stuff that we're doing has cameras or keypads on it. I mean, it's just the deal. I mean, we're doing what we can do.
Yeah. Great. So as Guy kind of alluded to, I sat down with one of his ops guys yesterday, and we looked at the numbers of truck rolls, and it's about a 23% decrease. 23% decrease in truck rolls. So to kind of put that into perspective, right? I just had this little example for you guys. So let's say you're doing 130 truck rolls a week, and you decrease that by 23%. It's going to drop to about 100 truck rolls a week. So that's 30 fewer a week times 4. That's 120 fewer truck rolls in a month. And then let's just throw out there, a truck roll costs you $100. Everything's inflated. Gas is more expensive. You're paying inflated labor rates.
$100 is probably cheap.
Exactly. And we went on the cheap side, right? So a cheaper estimate. So if you're doing 120 fewer truck rolls a month times 100, that is $12,000 you're saving your business every month. That is insane for a tiny little router, right? Thrown in the house to save you that kind of money. It's a no-brainer. It is a no-brainer because essentially, Guy, you're saving money on truck rolls, right? And then you're making more money by selling the IQ Wi-Fi's, right? So it's a win-win all around. So this product is phenomenal, right? And we do have some questions coming in. Nate, I don't know if you'd be willing to kind of help us answer some of these questions. We've got quite a few.
Hey, real
so let's
quick.
just look at. Oh yeah, sorry.
I want to make this this statement. It's super simple to do. A lot of people are worried about Wi-Fi and they don't want to get into that. It's not what they do. They don't understand it. They don't know it. The thing about Qualys all around is they've made it very simple to do all the things that they do, and this is no different. This is super duper easy to do. Not brain surgery.
That's great. Thank you, Guy. We appreciate that. It's a great point that I missed, so thank you.
It'll cost you later.
So Nate, I don't know if you're out there. So we've got a question here. Does IQ Wi-Fi only work on qualys/alarm.com Wi-Fi cameras?
Yeah, I'll take that one. No, that's a great question. So if you want to think of IQ Wi-Fi as a replacement to Euro, or even the Luxol, some of the other competing products, it's going to work without alarm.com cameras or without, a Qualys IQ panel. But there's certainly some benefits to adding it in addition to an IQ panel or alarm.com camera, right? So there is some special sauce in there. We actually have a feature where we can move everything over to consider it kind of like a separate partition, if you will. Move it away from the customer's main network. So that way, if you are installing this as a standalone network, if the customer goes in after the fact and changes an SSID or the encryption code, all those alarm devices could potentially stay connected, right? Because that is, one of the major drawbacks to putting any of this hardware on the customer's existing network. So we're trying to think ahead here, and that is one of the features and benefits. Great question.
Thank you, Nate. We appreciate that. I found a question here. I think this is for you, Guy. So Wayne asks, how many devices are installed on each job? So I think he's referring to how many IQ Wi-Fi units are you installing on each job?
It's a good question because that goes to the profitability of doing it. I was actually sitting there thinking I'd left that out. So what we do is we sell it as a 3-tower package, but we don't tell the customer that it's 3 towers, right? We just say we're going to put in the network. We're going to make it work. And the price that we have is up to 3 towers. That's on our end. We know that. So what we do is we go and we evaluate the house. We may not need to use all 3 towers. We may only need 2. You know, that's usually what it comes down to, is 2, maybe 3 sometimes, and then every now and then we can get away with 1. But the point is, we've got it figured for 3, and so on those ones where we're not installing that 3rd one, we're actually making a little extra money.
That's great. Thank you, Guy, for sharing that. I'm sorry, just looking through some questions here, trying to find us another one. Johnny, Ernest, any comments in the meantime while I'm looking for some questions?
I could destroy the chat if you'd like and ask a simple question. How many times has the Wi-Fi kept you from installing a video camera or a doorbell? Because if you could put a number on that, think of all the money that you lost by not selling one of these devices and being able to do that. Because I'm sure many people have lost many deals not being able to install that doorbell because the Wi-Fi didn't reach.
That's happened to us. It's another reason that we added it.
So I found a question here, Guy, that you may be able to help us with, or Ernest or Nate or whoever. So it says, what are some of the instances the IQ Wi-Fi will save on a truck roll? So save a truck roll. How is IQ Wi-Fi going to stop a truck roll?
Well, we do a really good job on the phone in our customer service department, walking customers through. One of the things we got really good at was putting those cameras back online. But because we had the warranty, most of those people, they're like, I haven't got time for this. If it was more than just a few minutes of walking them through that, they wanted the truck roll because we have the warranty on it. Because, hey, I'm paying you guys just come out here and fix it. Well, the problem is we could not explain it to them in a way they would understand that it was not our equipment. It was their ISP provider and their cheap router that they had. So how it saved the truck roll was just the connectivity issue. I'm going to tell you that 90% of the 23% is just connectivity. Having to learn that camera back in because it dropped off because they had a slumber party. Everybody came over with all their stuff, and the camera was the weakest signal, and now boom, it's been dropped.
Great, thank you, Guy. Any other? Well, we'll let Nate talk a little bit about that more. We've got on IQ Wi-Fi 6, we have some features coming that are going to help even more with, remote access, those type of things to stop truck rolls. I'm sorry, just looking for any more questions we can find here. So Nate, this might be for you. She says, are there any issues with product connecting WAN port to customer network via EOP plugs, Ethernet over power? Or if you have any insight to that, Nate. If not, we can figure it out and get back to Patrick on that.
I'm not exactly sure what they're referring to. I'll take a little bit of a stab. A little bit of a stab in the dark, I guess. So Ethernet over power is like the extenders, right, that you can essentially just power up anywhere in the home, and they use the existing it's like X10 technology. It's an older technology that basically is converting the outlet into an Ethernet jack. So the answer is yes, that could potentially work. Not knowing all the limitations of the environment, something that we don't necessarily recommend. I think most networking gurus would, agree that a network extender is essentially putting a Band-Aid on a much bigger problem, right? So the whole idea with IQ Wi-Fi, or even getting into the networking router space, is we wanted a solution that we could control. We didn't really have much control over what I'd call the middle part of the installation. We had a ton of control over the beginning and what I'd call the end, or remote connectivity with our partners at alarm.com. And so with this router, we're able to kind of bridge the gap, so to speak. So great solution for a standalone networking solution, or networking in parallel, essentially taking the customer's existing network and what Guy has mentioned you're putting, this device, behind, the customer's network, right? So you're just using this as, maybe you just want to use it just as the security network, if you will. But yeah, very, very good. As we talk about mesh networking just in general, one of the main benefits of mesh networking is it's a very good way to extend a network, right? So if you don't have connectivity, using that Ethernet or wireless backplane, you can connect one of these devices and extend a network to, the outside corner of the house, or say you have a pool house that's maybe detached. Great solution for that.
Great, thank you, Nate. Thank you for that. I would have never known how to answer that. Great. Well, Guy, do you have any other last words of wisdom for us with Wi-Fi? I think you kind of said it. It's easy, right? It's easy to do. You're making money. You're saving money. Any last words, Ernest, Johnny? Any last questions or comments for Guy?
Well, the simple thing is you just got to get your head wrapped around it. You just have to make the decision, and that's what we did. We just said, this is it. This is what we're going to do. And once don't think about the extra cost involved in it. Think about the extra value that you're bringing the customer. Think about the extra reliability you're bringing the customer. And then if you're convicted about it, if you have that conviction that you want them to have the best service, you want them to have the peace of mind, you want this to work, that'll come across in your pitch, that'll come across in your explanation. Customers will buy it when they know that you believe it.
Great. Couldn't have said it better. Thank you so much, Guy.
Well said.
We'll ask you to stick around, guys, so you can help us pick our IQ Wi-Fi winner. But now we'd love to turn the time over to Nate to just talk a little bit about IQ Wi-Fi 6. I know there's a lot of questions in here. We'll definitely we'll have to reach back out to you guys because all these questions will be recorded, and then we'll get you in contact with somebody that can answer all of these kind of complex questions, and we'll make sure we get an answer for you guys. So Nate, we'll turn the time over to you, my friend.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me jump on here. I'll turn my camera on here for a minute. And yeah, so Wi-Fi 6 is our next generation or Gen 2 wireless mesh solution. It hasn't officially been released, though we are in active beta with our partners over at alarm.com. It is taking basically all the best of IQ Wi-Fi, our Gen 1 product, and making it better. So if you want to share the next slide, Bo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, so just from a 10,000 foot view, I thought I would just take a few minutes here and explain some of the main benefits of IQ Wi-Fi 6. So when you look at Wi-Fi 5, that's an AC product, AC 1200. Really what those letters and numbers mean is AC just stands for Wi-Fi 5, and the 1200, excuse me, represents the amount of throughput, combined on, a dual band, so 2.5 or 5 gigahertz. So this product is going to support what we call AX 1800. So AX would represent Wi-Fi 6, and 1800 is the throughput capabilities. So it's completely redesigned from the ground up. We actually built this chipset with Foxconn and Qualcomm chipset. It's a quad core A53. It's a much bigger processor. The idea here is we want to make sure that everybody understands that we're highly invested into this space. We're wanting to come to market with something that's not only robust, but has a ton of overhead, so that we can add more features and benefits, just like everything else that we release here at JCI. With those updates, software updates, as they come readily available, we're able to include additional features and benefits. So with AX 1800, we're also getting more throughput, faster speeds. It does support OFDMA. So that's a term that is come up more frequently here in the near term. Again, it's supporting mesh technologies. self-optimizing and healing technologies. So the idea there is if you've got a number of these devices installed in a home and one of them gets unplugged for whatever reason, as long as they're all within range or they're utilizing that Ethernet backhaul wired connection, they'll just all kind of pick up the slack where needed, right? So it's going to support Ethernet backhaul, as I mentioned earlier. It's a gigabit LAN and WAN ports. So, you know, the best technologies built into this chipset. And there are some other additional features and benefits with it, you know, such as it does support WPS mode. It's a secure connection. It does support things like privacy and remote management. You know, we'll talk a little bit about some of the features and benefits as we get ready to launch this product. We are launching with our partners at alarm.com. So, you know, all the wonderful benefits and features that you're used to receiving with our security panels, you'll also be able to remote manage this device through the partner portal, and your customer will be able to do different things like you know, changing the name of an SSID or updating an encryption, you know, for their network, rebooting devices and that sort of thing as well. So if you want to hit next here, Bo. Right. So you know, I kind of briefly mentioned our partnership with alarm.com. So think of this product as having essentially 4 different UIs in order to interface with it. So you've got the panel UI with Wi-Fi 5 or our Gen 1 product, but you're also going to receive that same panel UI with Gen 2 or Wi-Fi 6. In addition to that panel UI, we're going to support our own JCI app. The idea here, this is a configuration tool, but also an end user tool. So those are 2 of the 4 interfaces that we support with this new Wi-Fi 6 product. We'll also support a UI with alarm.com, both on the partner and the customer portal. And then of course the panel, or excuse me, let me back up, the web UI as well. So those are the 4 different UIs. One of the new features and benefits with the panel UI, there's a little screenshot here on this slide, is this customer-facing dashboard. So the idea with this customer-facing dashboard is you'd have the ability to go in and do things like create profiles. You can pause internet connectivity. Say everybody had a different profile. You know, you could create a profile and call it kids and attach all of their connected devices to that kid's profile, and you could do things like pause internet connectivity, you know, between, you know, the nighttime, or you wanted to get their attention, right? They needed to come up for dinner, you hit the pause button and you could accomplish that fairly easily just right from the panel. You know, this is also intended to give the customer a kind of a 10,000 foot view, if you will, of what's happening real time in their network, things like speed tests, the connectivity between devices. You know, we're doing things like color coding, you know, using green is good, you know, yellow is not so good, and red is, hey, this network likely needs some help or some assistance. And then we also have the capability of enabling or disabling a guest network. So the idea there is you've got little QR code, something pretty simple, but without having to give out your main network password, you can just enable that. And you know, anybody that comes into the home, you can come to this page and quickly scan and they can get access to your guest network. So moving on, if you want to progress to the next slide here, Bo.
That is our last slide.
All right, sounds good. Well, is there any other questions that came in here as we, you know, I kind of just got talking here. I know that there were a couple questions about PoE or power line as we were, you know, talking a little bit earlier about power line. So the question around PoE or power over Ethernet is an entirely different question. Just to be clear, this device does not support PoE or power over Ethernet, but that is a feature and something that we're looking to support in possibly the next generation product. So something to think about. Again, we are highly motivated, very excited about the networking space. We're very much dedicated to this space as it relates to our industry.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Nate, for that overview. I guess there's just a couple questions I see that we could maybe grab before we wrap up here. How many cameras does IQ Wi-Fi support? Is there a limit to how many cameras can connect to IQ Wi-Fi?
That's a really good question. The limit would actually be, I know that we have a limit with our IQ panel, and I think that limit is 40 Alarm.com cameras. So keep in mind, though the limitation is set for 40, I know that they have a calculator, a bandwidth calculator, and you definitely need to make sure that there's enough bandwidth in order for those cameras to properly communicate effectively to the back end, right? So I want to say that they support, or they need at least a megabit throughput, or maybe it's 1.5 if I remember correctly off the top of my head, but that ultimately would be the limitation there. Not a limitation with IQ Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi 6.
The rule that we go by is that it's 2.5 megabytes per camera.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that.
Otherwise, it's just, you're pushing it. So if you want it to be reliable, from our side of it, we look at it, that customer's got to have 2.5 megabits per upload per camera, or we will not install that camera.
Wow. That's great. Great rule of thumb there. Somebody asked, Guy, since we got you here, are you still using ADC gateways with IQ Wi-Fi setups?
No.
No? Okay, great. And then I guess maybe, Guy, you might have some insight into this. So Ray is asking us, how does it connect to the internet? Do you throw the customer's modem out? That's kind of Ray's question here. Any insight to that?
Yeah, good question. Our ISP provider, or our internet provider, typically has their own cable modem box, right? Depending on who is, whether it's Comcast or Verizon. I think the quick answer would be no. You wouldn't get rid of that box. There is a bit of a more complicated answer to that question. With a cable modem, for like ISP such as Comcast, you could go in and put that device into what we'd call bridge mode. So it's essentially taking, that cable connection, converting it into Ethernet, and it's not doing all of its DHCP. It's not acting as its own DHCP server, for anything downstream, if that makes sense. So, so the quick answer would be no. We can spend a little bit more time explaining, network topology and why we might want to look at, disabling certain things on the cable modem and such. Ultimately, you probably ought to just leave it the way it is and utilize this as either a standalone or a network in parallel.
Great, thank you, Nate. Awesome. Well, I know there are some questions in here. We're not going to be able to get to all of them, but we will follow up with you guys. We'll generate a report, and we'll make sure somebody reaches out to you guys to kind of answer some of those questions. But for now, Guy, I need you to give me a number between 1 and 400, and we're going to pick a winner for our IQ Wi-Fi prize pack. So give me that number when you're ready, Guy.
333.
333, a lucky number. Okie dokie. It's looking like Stanley Norman is sitting at 333. So Stanley, congrats. We will reach out to you, get your address, get you an IQ Wi-Fi pack, a price pack. And then give me one more number, guy, and we'll send this person a swag pack. Let's do one more giveaway.
All right. 125.
125. All right, 125. It's looking like Nick Dawson at 125. So Nick, we will reach out to you and get you a prize pack as well. And like I said, any questions we missed, we're going to follow up and we'll get you guys the answers. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Guy. Thank you guys so much for giving us your time. Guy, thank you for coming on and sharing your experience. We do appreciate it. I know it's helpful for everybody. I learned a ton. So we really do appreciate you helping us out. And if any of you guys have any other questions, comments, we'll answer them, or if not, we'll wrap it up and we'll talk next time. Everyone good? Awesome. Okay, thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day weekend, everybody. And we will talk next month. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks.